In this video, we're going to have a little look at doing some curtain walls. Now, as we look at our building by here, we're going to put a series of curtain wall sections along this elevation. So I'm going to go to the ground floor plan, which I can do by double clicking on it in the project browser. This is the elevation by here. So I'm going to start off by removing some sections of this wall or cutting some holes in it. So I need to edit the profile of this wall. Now I'm going to do that from the south elevation. There we go. So now I can see this wall outlined by here. Now we've got to remember that this has to be one continuous pink line with no overlapping, crisscrossing, or no gaps. So I'm going to use some of these drawing and modifying tools to help get this done. Okay, the first one I'm going to offset, and I'm going to offset a height of 3.6 meters or 3,600 millimeters and have that pink line by there. And then I'm going to offset 900 and have these come in off the sides. Then I'm going to use this trim command. When using the trim command, you have to point at the line, the two lines that intersect each other, and you have to point at the bits of the line that you want to keep. So for example, I've got to click by here because it's on the side of this that I want. And then I can do that and it joins them together. And likewise that one, and it gets rid of those two lines that were by there. Go back to my offset. This time I'm going to do 6,000 for the width of this opening. Okay, and I'll do a 6,000 up there as well. Now when using the offset, just be careful that you put the cursor on the correct side of the line that you wish to offset. Otherwise it will go the opposite way. Okay, let's do a bit more trimming. Yeah, we can unjoin that. Draw a new little line across here. Not too bothered about its exact length because I'm just going to trim it to the right size anyway. Okay, I use the line command now to fill in some of these gaps. Now when you get that little square, that shows you that you're at the end point. So just make sure that you do get that. There we go. I'll just run that one across there. Back to the trim. There we go. So almost there. And I'm just going to use this, come across another 900. Up there. And then the same on this side. And then right across here for the remaining distance. So now I have one continuous pink line going all the way around. So I can press the big green tick. And there we go. If you had to move any of those, you could grab those blue arrows and drag them across, but I've been fairly accurate with how I want those. So I've cut the holes in my wall ready for my curtain walling to go in there. So I'm going to go back to the ground floor, and now you can see these very clear gaps. What I will do now is click on the wall command, use the type selector. I'm going to start off with an empty curtain wall. Okay, and we've got here the height of it. I'll say up to ground floor, and oh, didn't like that. Reset constraints. Right, so height unconnected, and I'm going to make it 3,600 because that was the height of the openings I did on the elevation. There we go. And I don't need a chain line for this one because I'm just doing individual points. Just making sure it locks onto the walls as I go along. Try and get that in the same place. Okay, let's look at that in our 3D view. So now we can see we've got large empty glass panels in each of these. So what I'm going to do now is click on one of these panels. So you just got to be careful with the cursor, because if you've got it in the wrong place, that's going to highlight the brick wall. But then if you just click there, you can get it onto your curtain wall. So now I'm going to edit type. I will duplicate it, curtain wall, and it's not going to be empty anymore, but this is going to be a 6 by 3.6 meter opening. So I can click OK on that. And I'm going to change my vertical and horizontal grids. Now there's a couple ways. We'll just have a quick look through them to show you what they do. So fixed distance, we'll set that on both of them first of all. Okay, and we'll give them mullions as well. I'm just going to use the 30mm square mullions, so the interior ones, and then the border around the edge as well. Okay, so let's have a little look what that looks like. There we go. Now we can see that it's done these. If we look in our properties, we've got justification is at the beginning. So we've got the vertical grid lines and the horizontal grid lines. So let's just change some of these and see what difference that makes. So let's look at it from the end, and you can see how that's changed where they're going to and from. Okay, and then we could look at it as centered And now we can see that the horizontal grid lines, we've got one in the center, and then they're spaced out evenly either side. What we are going to do now, though, is go back to Edit Type, and we'll have a look. Instead of having it a fixed distance of 1500, we will change it to a fixed, so the horizontal grid will make a fixed distance, and I'm going to make it 1200. We'll have a look what that looks like. And then our vertical grid will change to a fixed number, and we'll click OK. So at the moment, our vertical grid has got a fixed number of 3 millions. So if I just change that, we'll do it to 2, see what it looks like. There we go. So that means each of those is about, they're quite large to be honest, 2 meters, which is too wide, but we'll just see what that looks like. So now we'll go to 4. And now we've split it into 5 sections. Each of them, therefore, would be about 1200 wide each, which is what we'll stick with. But we don't like that, the horizontal grid as it is. So I'm going to change that to beginning again. And that looks much better. There we go. Because we've preset that now, we can click on each of these ones and just change it to the one that we've created, because those openings are all the same size. But we'll notice this one is a different size. So first of all, we'll try changing it to this one and see what it looks like, but we may not be happy with it. See, it just doesn't look very nice. So therefore, we've got to duplicate it. So back to Edit Type, back to Duplicate. It's important we don't change it because it will change all of the others as well that we've just done. So we'll duplicate it. And this one was more like 12 meters, 200 and something. So we'll say 12. And just, that gives us a rough idea. Click OK. And say OK again. Right, but now this time our vertical grids, instead of having 4, we'll increase that number to 8, and we'll see what that looks like. There we go. So we've got 8 of those in there now, and that looks much better, much more in keeping with what we've got for the others. So that is a basic rundown of how to do curtain walls.